Welcome to Our 2 Cents on Your Dollar, the podcast brought to you by Strategic Insights, where we break down the numbers, decode the noise, and offer smart takes on money matters so your financial future makes sense. Coming in, we have some late breaking news. Social Security is running out. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Wait. Now it's running out even sooner after 1 minute into this? Oh my goodness.
Any quicker.
In case you haven't figured it out, today we're going to talk about Social Security, some bills that have been proposed or actually have been, I don't even know what you call that.
Introduced.
Bills have been introduced to shore up Social Security. Wouldn't hold your breath, but you never know. So we're going to talk about that today and talk about the history of Social Security so we understand some of these bills and proposals. And we'll even talk about some Social Security claiming strategies. Minor. It's not the purpose of this. So I mentioned some bills that have been introduced. What are those bills?
Well, there's the Social Security Expansion Act introduced by Sanders. And as of right now, if up to $176,000 of earned wages are taxed for Social Security, and this bill introduces increases that limit. So anybody that makes more than $250,000 will not only be taxed for Social Security, but not just their wages, but also their investment income. So interest, dividends, capital gains will also be taxed for Social Security.
Okay, I love that.
Taxes?
Wait, what part?
I love.
You got excited on taxes.
That was a great explanation.
Sure.
I thought, but then I realized there's a lot I don't know. So let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So, what is Social Security? Like, what's its purpose? How is it funded? When was it started? Why is it running out of money?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
So Social Security was introduced in 1933, FDR, during right around the Great Depression time frame. And really it was a plan to be able to help stabilize family homes. So the idea conceptually was to help provide some stability from a retirement perspective and also provide some type of supplemental income that a lot of individuals were missing due to the current economic state at that point in time. And at that point, the expectation and life expectancy for individuals was a lot shorter. So they figured that, hey, that we'd be able to self-fund and self-sustain this for a period of time to be able to get us out and really help Americans get through that time frame. Little did they know, 90 years later, it'd still be in place with completely different format and completely different way that it's shaped.
So what was the original format?
Original format is to provide some sort of income to help individuals, right? At the very beginning, individuals were putting money into it. For the first 2 years of Social Security, they would give you lump sums, right? So we've always very familiar with Ida Mae, right? She's the first person to actually receive an actual Social Security monthly payment check. That was in 1937, I believe. However, the first checks that they started off, right, with their first system was lump sum payments. I think it was for like 22 cents that the individual received. The wage base at that point was $3,000, right? So if you got that 6.2% on $3,000 of your income, and it's constantly changed ever since then. I believe average annualized income for individuals in the 30s were around $1,800. So, right, time frames have changed. At the very beginning, there was a lot of expectations based off of their current rules.
Okay, so let's unpack that. So it's 6.2% on wage base, and that's it?
That's on the employee side. So it's 12.4%. The employee pays 6.2% from their wages, and then the employer pays the other half. If you're self-employed, you pay both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all keep saying wage base. Is there a differentiation between wage base and, say, rental income from a home?
Yeah, it's earned income. So your wages, your bonuses, and your commissions are taxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Passive income is not considered in that calculation.
Okay. So going back to what you said, so Ida Mae had $3,000 of her wages taxed. So if she made, do we happen to know if she made more than 3,000?
I don't know the exact amount that she actually made. I believe though that she put into the system, I think a very small amount. I think it was like close to like $22. $24.
And how much did she take out?
I believe she lived close to be I think 100, and I think it was close to $22,000.
It was like 23,000. Yeah, and she did live to the age of 100.
I don't mean to be controversial here. Is
Is
this
your math not adding up? Do you need a calculator?
Is this why people say it's a Ponzi scheme? I've heard that. Not me. Not my
no,
words.
No, not here.
Just on the X sphere. That's all. Just
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. But I don't want to get too far off the rails.
Yeah, it was 23,000. Yes, that's how much she got.
Okay. She paid $22 into it. And she got 23,000. Okay, fine, whatever. Let's say hypothetically she made $10,000. You said $3,000 wage base. What happens to the other 7,000? Is it taxed?
Yeah, she still pays taxes on it, but as far as putting into Social Security, right, that 6.2% up from the employee standpoint that she was putting into stops, right? So once we used to make a joke when I got into the industry at that time, if it was like 116,000, I used to tell people if you make over that, you give yourself a 6.2% raise, right? And what's interesting about that that average wage index that they utilize to come up with this number is it's increased every single year since this started. There's a few, well, let me take that back. I think there's 2 or 3 different time frames where it stays the same, but it's always going up. Mm-hmm. Even though we've had bad years, it never goes down. They're going to keep increasing that in order to be able to keep pace with the demands on Social Security.
So this is what you meant by today it's 176,000.
Right.
When it was first started, it was 3,000, not 276.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Expansion Act is proposing an increase to
Yeah.
250.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not just on wages, it would also tax investment income.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the curveball.
So who's voting for that?
Hi. I think with this introduction of the bill, they think it'll expand. And it'll make Social Security, the trust fund, last for another 75 years. And then they think 93% of people won't see an increase in their taxes. But certainly those at the higher income brackets will see an increase.
I think it's interesting. He said they think, right? Because I think that's kind of the issue with this is they're constantly thinking about what they're going to try to do to fix it, right? So we're always kind of playing behind the curve, right? We're always trying to make these modifications after the fact. And I think that as long as they continue to keep guessing, right, they're going to keep making adjustments to try to prolong it.
Yeah, there was a big insolvency issue that came up in the mid 80s. And at that point, we had a bipartisan agreement. It was Reagan and Congressman Tip O'Neill at that point in time. And they came together to make an adjustment at that point because insolvency was coming in the next couple of years at that point. And so at that point, they did 2 changes. They increased the full retirement age from 65 to 67. And also at that point in time, they increased the payroll tax as well too that you had to pay into it. So that saved. It was one of the few bipartisan things that we've seen actually come together and fulfill what they're objectively trying to accomplish. But they had to make 2 changes, not just on the taxable wage amounts, but as well as your full retirement age and pushing your full retirement age back. And so that change at that point in time has gotten us 40 years to the point that we're at now. And the writing's on the wall. They know that something else is going to have to be done.
They're going to keep pushing it back. It'll be 75 by the time we get there.
It keeps getting harder to fix because it's not just fixing. They're also adding provisions. So, this Social Security was introduced, right after the Great, Depression, and then senior poverty rates was above 50%. And so that was one of the major reasons why they passed Social Security. And as y'all mentioned before, the life expectancy was 65. And you mentioned this earlier. You would think when they saw Ida Mae Fuller reach the age of 100, you think they would start making adjustments to Social Security, but they've only added new provisions to it over time. Just like they've added cost of living adjustments, they've added disability, they've added survivor benefits. Mm-hmm. So Social Security is no longer a retirement benefit to help seniors. It's other things too. That's why it makes it very difficult to fix.
Yeah. Okay. So
I was gonna do.
I'll bite.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bite.
That was easy. Didn't take much.
You know what? Fine.
Ignited.
Okay, so wait, are you suggesting that Ida May is putting money in
Mhm.
and other people are able to get benefits off of her contributing her $22 into the system?
What do you mean?
Her spouse? Would her spouse be able to collect benefits?
Yes. Yes.
Well, now, not back then, but
yeah.
now, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there've been changes along the way in regards to spousal benefits, right? There used to be some different strategies when we even before we were really deep into the weeds in our careers. There was been some that have been eliminated. So spousal benefits is something that people can apply for if they do not have Social Security. So for an individual that is a stay-at-home parent, they are eligible for half of their spousal benefits if they meet certain requirements. There used to be some other strategies where people would apply for Social Security, then suspend to try to increase their benefit and allow the spouse to get into theirs. Social Security finally saw that that's a big drain on the system, and they started to make some tweaks, and so they did take that away. I think they'll continue to do things like that.
Yeah, you've got spouses can get a benefit, children, and even
Minors.
and even dependent parents can get a benefit,
Or even ex-spouses.
and even ex-spouses.
Yeah.
Why are you looking into that?
I have clients and they have,
They have questions.
they have questions.
Yeah. Earlier this year, the repeal of the windfall act as well too was another position that added the probability of insolvency as well. So now you're providing additional individuals that weren't privy to this benefit are now receiving that benefit in full. And so there's been so many different positions and different distribution ways that were added throughout the past couple of decades that have increased the probability a lot more.
Okay, since you went there, I'll bite again. And this is just to be a voice of reason. I'm not saying this is what I believe.
Sure,
Okay?
yeah, sure. Just what their ears on the street, right?
That's right. You always got to keep your ear to the ground. Always.
Always.
Voice of the people. That's what I am.
Yeah.
So you were saying about adding new benefits or repeal, and a lot of people complain about Social Security. As I said, I've heard some people call it a Ponzi scheme, right? But we're just adding all these benefits. Like, so who's the responsibility fall on? Is it the lawmakers? Is it the people voting? Is it recipients? Is it people paying into it? Because just truthfully, if I told my client like, hey, let's plan for your Social Security benefit to be cut, they would freak out.
Yeah, it's always harder politically to remove. It's way easier to add. And that's why they say in Washington that you got to be careful with the legislation that you pass, because it could be there for a long time, and what ends up happening is you keep adding to it, and that's what we're seeing with Social Security, because everyone kind of knows what needs to be done to quote unquote fix it, which is you're going to have to increase inflows, tax people, or reduce some of the benefits.
Don't say that word again.
And most people won't vote for their leaders if they're going to cut back on benefits.
Or increase taxes, right? And that's something that ultimately, right, there's more going out than coming in, right? There's got to be an adjustment made one way or the other. Somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to, unfortunately, right, tax us more in order to be able to keep this thing going, because they're probably not going to be pulling back the benefits for the current recipients, and they are, they're going to lose a lot of votes if they do things like that.
For those people that have not watched the episode where we briefly discussed Social Security Fairness Act, can you give a brief synopsis of what that is?
Yeah.
And how that could potentially lead to Social Security running out sooner?
Yeah. So there were some states and government positions that were not privy to the full Social Security benefit because they were receiving some type of defined benefit plan. And so, for instance, here in the state of Texas, if you were a part of the teachers' retirement system, over the course of your career, you were not paying that 6.4% into Social Security over that time frame. Your part of your payroll was going into the teachers' retirement system, which is a pension plan system that provides a fixed benefit for the retirement. And so, if you had been paying into Social Security through another W-2 position or self-employment position over that period of time, that amount that you would have received through Social Security was reduced based on a calculation of how much you were receiving through your pension plan and what you would have received in Social Security. And so those positions in a couple of different states and a couple of different government positions, that got repealed. So what happened was, instead of getting a reduced payout through Social Security, you're now allotted to your full payout. But not only that, you're also privy to spousal benefits and survivor benefits that would have been reduced as well too. So it put a ton of extra pressure on the Social Security system to be able to continue to provide these payouts. Also, they were retroactively paying these benefits out in lump sums.
Oh, we got more money in the bank. Don't worry about it.
And this happened this calendar year.
Yeah, this happened January 2025.
When people were already sounding the alarm bell that Social Security was
We're
going to
good.
run
Don't
out.
worry about it.
And
Right.
they just added more benefits.
Right. Right.
It made a
Okay.
huge difference for a lot of individuals that were having like the survivor ones, especially, right, where you had individuals that did not put a whole lot into Social Security, but they had a high wage earning spouse that was maximizing their Social Security benefits. So there you go, from an individual receiving a high pension, not really putting in Social Security potentially, to now receiving if they were widowed, right, that other income. So now it's really going to put a whole lot more pressure on the system.
And I think it's worth mentioning, every day we still have 10,000 Americans turning 65. And I saw a crazy stat the other day that by 2030, all the baby boomers will now be at least 65. So this is going to be a tremendous drain on the trust funds. Yeah, because we actually did reach the trust fund was actually growing for at least 2 decades. Back in 2021, I think it got up as high as 2.9 trillion. But since 2021, it's been slowly dwindling down by at least $50 to $70 billion per year. And as Enriquez mentioned, by 2033, 2034, the trust fund will be completely depleted and only 80% of benefits will be covered.
Okay, so speaking of non-controversial drains on Medicare trust funds, let's talk about taxes on Social Security benefits, because I know that's a hot topic.
I heard they're no longer taxed.
Free money.
Check out that podcast episode. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Is that on? Is that it? Have we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's real.
Taxes on Social Security benefits. Where do those taxes go? Let's start there.
The taxes from they go directly to the Social Security trust fund, which is separate from the funds the government has. And so there's actually 2 funds, one for old age survivor and then disability. And specifically, it's the retirement benefits that's going to be depleted by 2033.
Okay.
Yeah, the disability fund will actually still last until the end of the century, but the retirement benefits will end by 2033.
Okay, so if I'm 67, I get Social Security benefits. They could be income taxable to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was part of that. That was part of that introduction in 1983 with Reagan, was to start that taxing Social Security on higher income earners, because it depends on your household income, on the amount of Social Security that is taxed, along with the percentage of your income that is taxed.
Yeah, whether you're single, married, filing joint, and so I think that's been some of the complaints, is that those adjustments have not been adjusted or for inflation or for wages or for life expectancy. So those rules that were made in '84 are still in place today. And so I believe it's 25,000 for single, 34,000 for married, filing joint. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. And so they've made some introductions to try to increase those limits.
Yeah, okay. So a part of the federal income taxes on Social Security benefits go to Social Security Trust Fund.
Mm-hmm.
So the One Big Beautiful Bill Act did not make Social Security benefits tax exempt, but they did introduce an enhanced senior tax deduction that's supposed to help offset a little bit of it. And I think they calculated that because of that new deduction, it's going to actually make Social Security trust funds run out quicker.
Right.
Okay. So if we were to make Social Security benefits tax exempt altogether, what does that do to the Social Security trust fund?
Makes it run out a lot.
Yeah,
2029.
that was That was
2029? Is it
No,
really?
I don't know if it's
Oh.
I'm
Tomorrow.
yeah, it could be. It could be. And that's the thing.
Right.
It keeps changing, right? It's gonna make it shorter and shorter.
Yeah. It's that was, I think, the biggest part of that bill in the early mid '80s was in implementing the Social Security taxable amounts, and the solvency capability that it was going to provide, and so eliminating that, right? You have 50 million Americans receiving Social Security, I think, is the current amount, and I think the percentage was 67% of those Americans are paying taxes on that dollar amount. So that's a lot of quiche on an annual basis that no longer is going back and funding into the trust.
I don't think the IRS is so nice in the sense of you didn't pay taxes on it to begin with, right? And I don't think that they're going to be that nice to give it back to you without having to pay taxes.
Wait, what?
Whoa, get
Who
outta
didn't pay
here.
Stop
Get
it.
out.
I hate
Stop
that
it.
word.
I
Don't
paid
you
taxes on that
dare.
money already. Why'd I have to pay taxes on it again? Is a common thing I hear from clients.
So
I heard it in a book.
No, I mean, let's unpack that, and I want to come back to something else.
Yeah. So
Because
right.
earlier you talked about the wage base, 6.2% from employees, 6.2% from employer. That 6.2% from an employer, is the employee paying taxes on that?
No.
no.
No. Wait a minute. So is that why some of the Social Security benefits are taxable? Because you never pay taxes on it in the first
It's like
place?
you're going somewhere with this.
Well, I mean, you know what? I'm an American, so I can say this. I promise I'm not like this in real life. It's just for the show.
His worst.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Or should I say IRL?
Acquired taste is what we use in the office.
That's
Yeah.
right. Some might say Americans want their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So
Yes, we do.
So we don't want our benefits. Don't touch our benefits and don't tax us, and make sure our Social Security stays in place.
Yeah.
Is that possible to do all those things?
I mean,
In
we all,
theory,
we all
yes.
do math differently. So
Carry the one, stop the zero.
some math is not math. But no, I would say no.
No, I mean it's improbable, I would say.
Okay, so something's got to be done.
Yeah, especially because like Credo had mentioned, we're dealing with the highest populated retirement generation in the history of our country, right? And so, we have such a large amount of individuals going into retirement age over the next couple of years, and the especially with the cost of living adjustments we've implemented as well too, the amount of money being distributed over that time frame, it's going to be, the highest it's ever been, and then some. So if that continues to increase, and we're trying to reduce how much we're putting into the trust, it doesn't matter.
I think they've shown one thing, right? They're going to continuously make adjustments and changes to benefit whatever their direction they're going in, right? At this point, you see them making adjustments and changes to how the system is, and then you're seeing adjustments and systems that are being for the consumers, right? So both sides are going to constantly be tweaked until they try to basically keep saying, go a couple more years.
Wait a
Go
minute.
ahead.
Whoa. So are you're taking the position that they're gonna change, that they're gonna do something in benefits?
I'm saying that they're going to continue to make adjustments and changes to, from the 6.2, right? They're going to make adjustments on that side, continue the wage base. They're going to continue to make tweaks to keep pushing money into the system. Is that going to ever be enough to cover what's going out of the system? Well, that's to be determined.
I guess I'm trying to just for
clarity
purposes.
So for clarity purposes, right, when we got started, right, it was 118 or 116, which is a wage base, right? I'm saying it here, right?
Oh, so
Date
you're
yourself.
saying
I'm saying it
date
here,
yourself.
yeah.
wait, you're saying it. There's
I'm
not
saying
a
it here.
proposal. There's not.
No, there's no proposal. I'm just saying that, right, us younger individuals will continue to put the bill on the
Younger.
Okay.
Did he say younger?
I did. I'm not that baby boomer yet, but I think that's what's just going to continue to happen, right? They're going to continue to make tweaks, and we're going to end up putting the bill.
Well, to Alexa's point, I think in the Social Security Expansion Act, not only are they trying to increase taxes to make sure the Social Security Fund lasts longer, but they've already increased the benefits by $200 per month. So even as they're trying to fix it, they're still adding benefits already. So down in the future, you're gonna have to find another solution. So I'm just saying.
Wait. Well, you're saying, to his point, he was saying they're going to cut it. You're
No,
saying
I'm
they're
saying
raising it.
I'm saying that they're going to continue to make it more stressful for the individuals that are putting money into Social Security, right? They're going to continue to make it where more of the working individuals in the United States are going to be putting more and more into that pot in order to
Can you give a quick rundown about that, about the demographics and how that plays into this?
What do you mean?
The demographics of the working of people that are working. He mentioned about people putting into it and people.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that accurate stat, but I think there's over 180 million that's covered by Social Security. But as of right now, there's 67 million that's taking Social Security, and so it's a tremendous amount of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We have 5 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
How does a person navigate Social Security claiming strategies with all this? Like,
Take it all.
Because I've heard people say that. Is that the
I know
camp that you're in as a financial advisor? Is that what are your thoughts on all that?
I mean, it has everything to do with your financial situation, right? I mean, there's a reason why we do.
Boo.
It's true.
I know it. Okay, so then you're saying that if somebody, you would not recommend somebody to say, I don't think they're going to continue paying it, so I'm going to take it now while I can.
I mean, we're not. I don't think we have enough time to get into
Sure we do.
the
We got 4 minutes.
real
Absolutely.
depths of Social Security, right?
Let's get after it.
Yeah. Well, so there are restrictions for taking Social Security prior to full retirement age, right? And so those restrictions can and probably will hinder your total benefit payout, especially if we're able to expand the distribution of Social Security for the next 20 years, right? So if you start taking it at 62, right? One, if you're taking Social Security benefits prior to full retirement age, you are reducing the working income that you're able to take on, right? So there is a penalty in regards to how much earned income you can make if you're also taking Social Security prior to full retirement age. That's one. Two, it also reduces spousal and survivor benefits by 30% if you're taking it prior to full retirement age as well too. And so there are things that we look at in determining, hey, is this a need or a want in regards to what your current financial situation is? Because we've run tests, we have some software, we have calculations that are able to determine full benefit amount based on, we're deciphering and looking at probability in regards to life expectancy. And so obviously, if you delay it a little bit longer and you live past a certain age in most perspectives, you're going to receive more total benefit over your life expectancy. So if the idea is to try to get the most out of Social Security, I would argue there's a lot of statistics that show delaying it a little bit longer and you have a longer life expectancy, you're going to receive significantly more out of the benefit.
So back to his point.
I'm a successful founder, 56 years old. I sold my business. I believe with this smart man right here that they're going to eventually cut benefits. So it's not going to be there when I'm 70 years old. So I'm thinking about just taking as early as I can at 62. I have no other earned income. Good decision, bad decision.
I mean, it's at that point, it's not going to be probably too much of a difference whether you take it or not, especially based on your scenario. No other earned income. You're just trying to see what you can get out of the benefit. Life expectancy is also going to play a factor, or and spousal benefit if that's an implication as well too. But I'm not opposed to taking it if it's not going to hinder the other factors that we discussed beforehand.
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand that Social Security is your top 35 years of earnings. So therefore, right, if you did retire at 56, right, you are going to get zeros until you take it. So that's going to reduce your benefit as well. But going to the question, I think originally, right, just depends, right? Depends on the person's health and their need, right? I think those are kind of the two main factors in regard to when you start taking Social Security. I think most of the time in our office, we typically are pushing towards full retirement age.
I hear very, very specific and direct. I don't think it's going to be there later, so I'm going to get as much as I can right now. Is that a good strategy or bad strategy? You as financial advisors, what do you typically tell people?
I would say I would lean towards bad strategy if you don't need it. You're healthy. Because there's a break even for these based on when you take Social Security, and typically it's around in your late 70s, and life expectancies are past that.
Social Security is going to be broke then. They're not going to pay me then.
Yeah, I would. My counter to that would be, well, actually two things. We just mentioned before that it's very difficult for politicians to take away benefits. And there's a sizable amount of Americans that are already in their 60s or at least in their mid 40s. And so the people in their mid 40s have already paid into Social Security for at least 10 years. And so they're also going to get full benefits also. And then the second thing I would say, if you really have a strong feeling about that, I would really make sure that you run scenarios for your retirement plan without Social Security. And are you saving enough to make sure that you can cover that portion of income that's not going to be there?
You heard it here first. We have faith in you, the people, and our politicians that will figure this out, and we will not reduce your benefits. By the way, it's all speculative. I have no idea, but we do think you should not make decisions based on that speculation. But as long as you can reach all your financial goals, then have at it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Our 2 Cents in Your Dollars. Please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe.